Hey everybody, this is Daryl, aka the D from the Simply Incredible podcast. Today, a good friend of mine was getting rid of his old starting lineups, and he was like, "Hey, you interested?" It's like, "Heck yeah, I am!" And we got this big, huge box packed full. I have not looked at them, so I did see just a couple of them, so I don't know really what to expect. I do know there's at least baseball, football, and basketball. I remember back in the day, he also collected hockey, so there may be hockey in there as well. I'm really excited about this because back in the day, like the 80's, these were the real first sports figures. I don't really want to call them action figures because they had very little, very little movement. I was going to say articulation, but I couldn't say it. So I'm pretty excited about these. So we're going to jump right into them. I'm just going to pull them out, just one at a time, and whichever one I grab is which one I grab. And like I say, this one might take a while because I really don't know how many figures are in the box. So we start off with first one I grab, and I will try to find the year on them as well. First one is Dikembe Mutombo, king of the finger wag back in the day. Whenever he would block a shot, he would wag that finger. Don't bring that ball into my lane. I remember he played school at Georgetown. This is from blah blah dee doo. This is from 1992. So that's cool. That's the first one. All right. And I'm just opening the box. I'm actually not even looking to see what I'm grabbing next. Just whichever one comes up, comes up. Okay. This is from 1990. Bo Jackson. For those who don't know, two-sport athlete, all-star in baseball, all-pro in football. The first person that, as far as I know, ever did that. So there you go. 1990. I remember back in the day I had, I think I had just about all the Mets because I was a diehard Mets fan. There's my Mets roster right there. And this is kind of funny. I'm looking at the Montreal Expos. They only had one figure in the whole set. That's hilarious. Andres Galarraga, the Big Cat. Toronto. I guess the Canadian teams only got one player. Toronto had Fred McGriff, the crime dog. So there you go. I'm going to go a little bit faster now because there's so many in this box. Next, Pedro Guerrero. This is from 1988. This is the first year that they made him. Pedro Guerrero, he was a hard-hitting outfielder for the Dodgers back in the day. There you go. From the original set, 1988. Wow, it's just hard for me to believe it's been that long since these come out, but that's what happens when you get old. All right, next we have 1991. We have Cecil Fielder. He was the first person in like 20 years to hit 50 home runs. Might not have been that many years. Maybe it was a little less than that. Maybe it was like 16 years or something like that. And then nowadays, it's common every year for someone to have 50 or more home runs. So there you go. This year, my New York Met rookie, Pete Alonso, had 50 home runs. Next is from, what was that, 92? 91. Albert Bell. Albert Bell was a heck of a player back in the day. He had one year where he had 50 home runs and 50 doubles. I think he led the league in, I think he led the league in runs, maybe RBIs that year also. And they still did not give him the MVP, which blows my mind. He had a huge year. I think it was because he just kind of had a bad attitude. I'm kind of straighten these up because these are going to be all over the place. Next is another Bo Jackson. This is from 91. Got that silver coin in there with him. There we go. This is he won the MVP of the All-Star game. Major League All-Star game. That's just impressive. Remember, he hit, I think it was the first pitch of the game, he hit a home run. Okay. This is a guy who had a very short career. Scott Erickson, but yet had a couple good years. Good enough to have him a starting lineup figure. So that's pretty cool. There you go. Again, same year, 1992. There we go. At the end of the year, like baseball cards, they had traded or update sets in baseball cards. And these, there for a couple years, they also had extended sets at the end of the year. So you could see, somebody maybe a rookie that come up good, or maybe somebody traded teams, and they would have a few figures for that too. So I thought that's pretty cool. Next, let's see. Let's grab this one. Basketball. Sir Charles Barkley. This is cool. It's got his Topps card and his Stadium Club card. This is 92, I think. 92. 1993. There was a set I really, really wanted. They had a set of Dream Team, the entire Dream Team in a big pack. I really wanted that set. The 92 Dream Team, the greatest team ever put together. I know some people think some of the newer guys would have just rolled over them. I don't know. That was really the greatest team that I ever saw put together. Next. Ty Cobb. From the Cooperstown collection. This is 90... probably around that same 93, 92 era. Where's it at on here? 1993. Ty Cobb, one of the best hitters of all time. And also, kind of one of the dirtiest players. He often had, back in the day, they had metal spikes on their cleats, and he would often slide into a base and try to put those spikes on someone's shin. Try to bloody him up. Old Ty Cobb. Okay, my buddy really liked Bo Jackson because now we have Bo Jackson, the football player. This is back when he played for the Oakland Raiders from 1990. I mean, what can we say about Bo? Again, all-pro in football, all-star in baseball. Unfortunately, he hurt his hip in a football game, and he had a degenerative hip that they didn't really know about until he got that thing rolled, and unfortunately, he had to have a hip replacement. He did come back and play not one game, for part of a season. I'm not sure if it was an entire season for the Chicago White Sox, but never made it back to football. But there you go. I mean, what a legend. Just what a legend. Everybody knows Deion Sanders also played pro football and baseball at the same time. I think Brian Jordan also did the same thing, but neither one of them were quite to the level of Bo Jackson in both sports. Next, 1988, Fernando Valenzuela. Now, if you're a kid of a certain age like I am, an old fart, I guess is the best way to say it, Fernando Mania back in the 90s or 80s, like 82, I think it was, when he first come up. Well, you can actually kind of see it here. Which is really cool, actually, that his eyes are pointed up. Because when he would throw, in his windup, he would look like up to the top of his cap. I don't know what he was looking at. Like he was looking straight up. And that first year, he was unbelievable. One of the greatest pitching rookie seasons of all time. Unbelievable. I think he had something like 8 shutouts his rookie year. Next, basketball. Sean Kemp. They called him the Rain Man. Also, the Supersonics back in the day in Seattle, their team moved to Oklahoma City. So there you go. The Rain Man. That is awesome. I mean, he could dunk. Just look on YouTube, some of his dunks. They're absolutely insane. Some of the things he did back in the day. I would say a dunker kind of before his time. Some of the dunks he pulled off in games. Incredible. The Rain Man. Let's see. Delino DeShields. If I'm not mistaken, I believe his son is now playing. I'm pretty sure he is. This is from 1991. Again, from the Expos, a team that does not exist anymore. They are now the Washington Nationals. So that's pretty cool. There you go. Delino DeShields. There we go. Let's see. What is this one right here? Okay, Willie Flipper Anderson. This guy right here may have had, I think he may have the record for most receiving yards in one game. I remember the Rams. I think this is when they were, I want to say Los Angeles Rams before they went to St. Louis and then came back to Los Angeles. But I think he had like 400 and some odd yards in one game receiving. It's some insane number. Let me see. LA Raiders. Where's the Rams on here? Where is the Rams? Yes, they were the LA Rams right here. Again, right before they moved to St. Louis. Willie Flipper Anderson. That's a name I must confess thought I would never say. Well, I just noticed this. Okay. All right. Next is Detlef Schrempf. I used to be a huge fan of Detlef Schrempf. He was never like the best player, but he was always a good player, and I always remember him. And not only that, they had 2 of them. Detlef Schrempf. Again, he was never the best player on any team. He was just a solid ball player. He was one of those role players that was just really good. There we go. Detlef Schrempf. Man, I haven't thought about that name in, golly gee whiz, 30 years. Maybe not quite 30, but it's been a long, long time. Next, you know what? Now we have Bo Jackson. Remember I told you he had that hip replacement? And then when he came back, played for the White Sox. Number 8 for the White Sox. Okay, I'm pretty sure he never dove for a ball when he played for the White Sox. And again, you can see the extended series when he got traded. Does it say on there? Signed by the White Sox. Again, after that hip replacement, he wasn't the same. But I still remember when he come back. Might have been his first game or second game. I'm pretty sure it's his first game. He hit a home run, and I still remember him crying it because he came back, and that was just awesome. And he, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he gave that home run ball to his grandma. Yes. Again, some of that useless trivia that is in my head. All right, what is next in the box? Inmate number Lenny Dykstra from 1991. Back maybe a couple years before this, he played for the New York Mets. I was a huge fan of Lenny Dykstra. His nickname was Nails because they said he was tough as nails. So I just and later in life, he used to be on some of the financial shows. People talking about how much financial knowledge he had. Not long after that, he ended up in prison for a while for some of his investing schemes and things. So there you go. But that's pretty cool. Lenny Dykstra, when he played for the Phillies, number 4. Where did that one go I had over here? Alright, I'm going to just set this down in the background so we have something in the background. Next is... Okay. Another White Sox, Bo Jackson. And this is kind of interesting. They put the card in upside down. That's awesome. Again, when he come back, there you go. I'm not going back into any more stories about Vincent Edward Bo Jackson. For those who don't know, played at Auburn University. I think at the same time, or maybe just after Charles Barkley played basketball there, and Frank Thomas played baseball there. So there you go. I mean, that was a heck of a time to be at Auburn. Next is another Bo Jackson. We already had this one. So he really liked Bo Jackson. Really, really, really liked Bo Jackson. Oh, how about this? 1993, the extended series, Barry Bonds. This is right after he got traded from the Pirates to the Giants. And this is interesting to me, too. If you know, to all my baseball fans out there, look at how skinny he was. Right here when he first got to the Giants. And just a few years later, how big he was. And he was, at this time, was probably the best baseball player there was. Already starting to get MVPs. And then, allegedly, started using steroids and bulked up to being huge. And then one year hitting 73 home runs in a season. And also becoming the all-time home run king. There you go. Next, what's next? Okay. Oakland A's. This kid was supposed to be a phenom coming out of high school. Todd Van Poppel. Everyone was like, this guy's gonna be the next great pitcher. And he was around a few years, had a couple of decent years. Nothing to what people thought he would be, and just kind of vanished. Todd Van Poppel. I don't know how many different teams he played for. I think he played for a few different teams. But everyone just said, this is going to be the next big pitching superstar. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Sadly, that happens to a lot of players. You know, they come up with all that promise and it just kind of falls off. Next is Eric Karros, Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers in, gosh, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say 92 or 93, something like that, because I know Mike Piazza was also Rookie of the Year around that time. Raul Mondesi. I think they had maybe Hideo Nomo. I think they might have had 4 in a row during this time. I know they had at least 3. I think 4 in a row. So there we go. Eric Karros. There you go. Looking on the back, some of the names on here. Kevin Brown, Juan Gonzalez, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco. Look at all these great names. David Cone was the only Mets player that year. David Cone. Let's see. We still got quite a few left. Next is another Cecil Fielder. There we go. I think that's the same one I had before, I believe. Again, 50-plus home runs in a season. Next is 1988 Hall of Famer now, Kirby Puckett. This man had some great years. World Series hero back in 1987, I believe it was. I think that's what. No. It was later than that, wasn't it? It was later than that because I know they. Gosh, wow, I'm trying to remember what year it was. Because I know it was against the Braves, and I want to say it was probably about 92, 93, something like that. Because I remember Jack Morris was pitching for him. There we go. Hey, Fish, what's going on, my friend? There you go. Kirby Puckett, Hall of Famer. Next, what do we got here? Another Lenny Dykstra. I think the other one was in the darker jersey, I believe. There we go, 1991 edition. There we go. The Trials and Tribulations of Lenny Dykstra. Wow, my Mets had a whole bunch of players that year. Oh. Next is someone diving. Wow. Brian McRae. Hey, Leonard, what is going on? His dad had a very good career, Hal McRae, and also become a manager for a few years. And he has one of the, if you look on YouTube, you can find Hal McRae when he was a manager having a huge tizzy fit when they were asking him some questions. It was actually hilarious. He like threw a phone and it was so funny. There we go. So I always like looking at the back to see who was on which team, who they had. I think the Orioles had Cal Ripken Jr. just about every year. My Mets had Howard Johnson that year. Nice. Oh, this is fun to see too. These were purchased at Toys R Us for $3.99. This is in 1988. Eric Davis. When he first come up, he was going to be the next big thing. He was awesome for about 5 years. Speed, power. He was, I don't think he ever got 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. But I know he got 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. But, man, he was so good when he first come up. So very good. One of my friends, he had these, and he was getting rid of them. I was like, right here. Right here, man. I'll definitely take them. I love these things back in the day when I was a kid. Yeah, and they're definitely, you can actually look at these and definitely tell these are not, what we had way back in the, currently, the, like the McFarlanes and the NECA figures. These are not what they used to be. The Upper Deck. Mm-hmm. All right. Next is... Wow. Okay. I must confess, I had no idea Chad Curtis had one of these. Featuring some of the game's hottest players. Wow, this is from, okay, you're not from, you guys are probably not from around here, but Hills Plaza, Hills Shopping Center, what's it called? It's just called Hills. It was kind of like a big shopping center or a shopping store, kind of like a Walmart type of thing, before Walmart added everything to it, and they went out of business. Gosh, it's been a long time ago. But Chad Curtis for the Angels. When you look at him, he looks a little bit like Mike Trout. So I'm just saying. Maybe it's Mike Trout, 17 years before he came up. Actually, I do have, in the Stadium Edition, I do have Barry Bonds. Yeah, that's the only. Yeah, I know I got Barry Bonds in that. I think I have Deion Sanders also, and he actually has a like a chain around his neck, like a silver chain. When he would run, you could see that chain bouncing around back in the day. All right, next. Oh, this one makes me sad. This one makes me sad. Junior Seau, one of the best defensive players in football for a good stretch, a Hall of Famer. And man, unfortunately, after his career, he committed suicide, and he left a note saying that he wanted his brain studied for CTE because of multiple concussions. And really sad to say, but his passing really kind of changed a lot of what happened in football with all the concussion calls that they call now, targeting and things like that. It's a lot because Junior Seau, and there's a couple other players that committed suicide, and they speculated that they had brain traumas from playing football. But yeah, Junior Seau, man, he was so good. Used to love watching him play. All right, let's see. Only two to go. Only one to go. 1991. The Kid, Ken Griffey Jr. I must confess, I kind of thought this would just be a big box of common starting lineups. Most of them are kind of commons, but there's a few good ones in here. But yeah, two 1991 Ken Griffey Jr. The Kid. Speaking of Upper Deck, I remember 1989. Upper Deck first come out and they wanted to make a splash. So the first card in their first set was Ken Griffey Jr. It was his rookie card, and it was huge when it first come out. People were paying, at the time, this was in 1989, back when $10 was a lot for a card. People were paying $50, $60, $70. I think it got up to being a $100 card back in the 80s, early 90s. Insane. Now, what's his name? Mike Trout. His rookie card, the 2011 Topps Traded, goes for anywhere from $800 up to a PSA 10. I've seen go for $1,200 to $1,500. Ken Griffey Jr. at his peak, his rookie card was probably about, you might have been lucky and squeezed out. If you got it graded, it could have been as high as $150. Man, how times have changed. But Ken Griffey Jr., the Kid. I'll be honest, I did not expect to see a junior in there. Now, I will say this, it does make me a little bit sad. There's not a single New York Met in the whole box. I was hoping there'd be at least one, but nope. No Mets in the box. So there we go. Where's let's see. Let's throw this one up here with it too. There we go. Bo Jackson, baseball, Bo Jackson, football, and Ken Griffey Jr. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Bill, thank you so much for hooking me up, man. That is awesome. I am so happy to have these. This is so cool. Again, these are things you just look at and you just relive your childhood with these figures and things like that. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm not going to lie. I was very excited because when I got him, I told him, I was like, I know what my video is going to be about tonight. He's like, what? I was like, these starting lineups. Again, Bill, thank you so much for hooking me up, man. These are awesome. That is awesome. So that's all I got today. Again, doing some sports stuff because I'm a sports guy. I'm a comic book guy. I'm an all kinds of well-rounded nerd. I I can't just have just one thing. I've got a little bit of everything. And as soon as I get off here, I'm gonna be watching the wild card game. It's the Brewers against the Nationals. Then tomorrow night, the other wild card game from the American League. So, yeah, just wish my Mets had made it. They couldn't quite get there, but that's all right. Next year, next year. But that's all I got. And you guys have an incredible day.